What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining. Good afternoon. It is Friday. I have my Friday shirt on from Whataburger. Um, so thank you for joining. And just if, for anybody who's new here, let me introduce myself. My name is Eric Velasquez. I am interviewing as many candidates as I can that's willing to talk to me for the 2021 City of San Antonio elections. I'm not leaving anybody behind. I'm asking everyone for an interview. So I feel it's very important that we have all voices from everywhere from an unbiased approach. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our next guest. Hey, Yasmin, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good. And just a reminder, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, if you would like to ask a question, please put it on the comment box. If you would actually like to jump into the conversation and ask a question as well, you can do so by clicking on the link that I'm going to share. Oh, sorry, not that one. That I'm going to share here in a second. You'll see it down below. So you can click on that link and you can just jump in and actually ask the question. So, Yasmin, so introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. Excited to be here. And yeah, Eric, I love what you're doing. This is so important, right? So my name is Yasmin Parra Codina, and yeah, I was born and raised here in San Antonio. I'm a proud SAISD alum, and I am running for SAISD school board for District 7. And yeah, and I attended a school in the district here down the street, actually from my house, Madison Elementary School, and a few years at St. Paul's Catholic School, which is also down the street from my house. I live in my childhood home with my mom, and for middle school, I went to Tafoya Middle School, and I went to BRAC for high school. And I attended several community colleges in different states, but then I returned home, came back to San Antonio, and then finished out my transferred and finished out my degree. Double majored in Mexican American Studies and anthropology, and I have a master's in bicultural bilingual studies at the University of Texas at San Antonio. Obviously, I love UTSA. I currently work there as well. So yeah, a little bit about my family. My family lives in, we've lived in District 7 neighborhood for 32 years. And so yeah, I love this place that I grew up. And being engaged in the community is one way that I hope to be part of shaping the future generations. Yeah, so that's a hello.
Right. So what was that jump? What did that jump look like for you to, you know, throw your hat into this? Because this is different, right? And especially it's a volunteer position. So what was that like? That decision for you to do that, and why was that decision to move forward with this?
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to that question. So part of it is um, the idea was presented to me from a community member, one of my elders, a mentor that I look up to in the community. She's known me my whole life. She's known my family. And she presented the idea to me, and knowing my history and education, knowing my family, and there wasn't anything that told me not to. I have been invested in my community since I was a very young age. My family, has instilled in us, me and my sister, to be very strong voters. We come from a very voter family, very engaged in our community, and I've advocated for youth of all ages. I've worked with youth of all grade levels all my life, and I understand the importance of education and student voices. Um, yeah, so that it really just was an extension of the work I've done my whole life. And I come from a generation of educators. I come from a generation of teachers,
Mhm.
and my family is actually I also come from a generation of migrant farm workers. So we've been civically engaged in politics and the changes of our local um, communities. And I learned to respect my elders, but I also learned that I have a voice, right, as a young person, as a young student activist. um, and I know that this is an important way to give back to my community for the next generation of leaders. And I think you hit it on the nail, right? Is that it's a community service position.
Mhm.
School board members do not get paid. There's no compensation for it. And but I have done so much in my community and my own work that this is an extension of that work. And I know that this will be a place where there's going to be some change.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And so with that question, and I try to ask this question as much as I can. Sometimes I forget because we're trying to have that flow of the conversation. But with
Sure.
that situation where it is voluntary, right?
Hmm.
How can that go south, right? Because where it becomes being either a political gain or a gain to the candidate or the person who's running on that school board, who is part of the board,
Hmm.
then where it could start benefiting them instead of the actual school board. So how can we make sure that we're keeping track of that as citizens and as
Hmm.
people, from that happening? Because that could happen really quick, especially if you're not getting paid for it. You're going to try to seek compensation somewhere else. You know what I mean? So how can we do as a community make sure that that doesn't happen?
Yeah, that's really important, and that's actually one of the priorities that I have as a candidate. Is the this board is facing so many tough challenges, right? And there's a lot of work to do, but there's also a lot of good work that the board has been doing, and and expanding um, some of those avenues is voter input, student input, teacher and staff input. Um, what's important is that this is an opportunity to provide that, right? We're seeing with COVID and the winter storm crisis, and I think we're talking a lot about that because we're still in it. We're still like,
Yeah.
mutual aid groups are still out there helping the communities and helping the elders still with those services. But what's really important is that the monthly board meetings are open to the public, right? Uh, COVID did add a little bit of limitations to that, but that's temporary, and we need to just really have those on our radar. I think that some school board leaders have done some meetings at the different schools, individual schools, to have that one-on-one, expanding those listening sessions. But yeah, I think this is an opportunity to really get creative of how to have that voter, student, and teacher input with families, because folks want to get involved, right? But
Right.
ultimately, we all want the best for our students,
Now,
right?
you said that they are doing a decent job at doing that. I mean, but like with the other candidate we just spoke to, he was saying that they're not giving that opportunity for people to be heard.
Mhm.
Is that correct, or?
Yeah, I mean that's my job as a candidate is to listen to everyone. And right now, I'm hearing a lot of mixed messages from people, and that's what the reality is um, we have students that are not feeling heard. We're but on the same on the other hand, we have a lot of information online. We have a lot of information that's the schools are starting to realize that they're a hub for information, right? And I think this is a part where we need to pivot and expand on some of those things that have been happening. Maybe they're not happening as fast, but yeah, that's what I'm hearing, is that there is a mixed approach, and then again, that goes back to who are the folks that are falling through the cracks, right, of
Mhm.
information, because we have the digital divide is huge.
Yeah.
COVID really just shone a huge light on that, but we knew that before. So I think that um, expanding those ways of engagement is just really important, but also critiquing clearly of well, who are the folks that are still kind of not getting those text messages from the district because they don't have smartphones, they don't have
Mhm.
text, they aren't able to get the text messages correctly, they change their number. All of that is very, very common.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely there's mixed messages out there in the community, and that's some of the work that I'm doing currently, right, is uh, talking to voters on through the phone banking, talking to the community, parents and students, as when I'm going out there and door knocking, talking to them on the weekends. So yeah, there's definitely concerns.
I gotcha.
Mhm.
Phil says Ed Garza has strong political and community capital in D7. How have
Mhm.
you been able to overcome his incredible ground game and name recognition?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an honor to be on the ballot with Ed Garza, the former mayor. Um, I was in high school when he was mayor, and so I did follow his political career. He was also council for our district, so yeah, he's definitely a pillar in the community. But I definitely feel like I've been a leader as well in my own right. And I have over 15 years of experience working with youth in the community, and all ages, from elementary school, middle school, high school, as well as higher education, college students, which right now I work in UTSA. So um, there's a lot of work that I've done in recently that coalesced with um, I was co-directed the Mosque Youth Leadership Conference, which was student-led conference that worked on professional development through Mexican American Studies. And that was it was we created that through raising funds from the community, and
Mhm.
then we provided this conference and opened it up free of charge and to middle school and high school students to promote leadership. And that was an extension of some of the work that I've done. And so yeah, I definitely feel that there's a lot of experience that I can bring to the table as well.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Sarah says, "How does STAR testing affect students and teachers? What can the school board do about it?" And you know, after a couple of interviews with some school board candidates,
Mhm.
some are saying that they can't do anything and it's up to the legislature, but some other ones are saying that no, we could do stuff. So, can you maybe enlighten us, or maybe, yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely um, it's important to really see where school board is able to be impactful on standardized testing such as the STAR. But yeah, I think that it is state level. Um, but right now teachers are stressed out, students are stressed out. We're still going through this really traumatic experience. This is a humanitarian global crisis that we've still haven't finished, right? It's been hard on everybody, but it's important to reflect on how we can humanize what's happening in the schools and with students. And again, this is an opportunity to kind of reassess measuring success in schools. Yeah, I think I understand STAR and I understand data-driven measurements, right? That's some of the work that I also do, and I definitely understand that. But yeah, I think right now, we can advocate for um, for this year, trying to be more flexible. Just trying to be way more flexible and talk with students and really figure out their emotional stance, because we have to kind of look at the short term and then how they're going to be addressing going through COVID and this year and the stress in the next couple of years. So we're still in it, and it's going to take some real experts and addressing some of these issues.
Okay. Phil asked, was Yasmin involved with saving our community schools from closure when Dr. Duran was superintendent? Yeah.
Yeah, that I can probably I can collect some data, but I don't have the information right now for that. But yeah, I would love to loop back with you and discuss what that means. And I think it's important as a candidate to see and really research what that shift was like, especially for students and our teachers. So yeah, and at the end I can drop my email so that we can connect and discuss that a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Dave said it is apparent that a majority of parents, when asked about standardized testing, don't feel it's a priority during this pandemic. Our school board disagrees and has been stressing the importance of STAR. How will you, as a board member, help to change what seems to be an overemphasis on standardized testing and priorities data over people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this right now there's so many challenges, and I think that right now we can shift to this is the opportunity to shift to implement things that we know do work and that are connecting with students. So, this actually connects to one of my other priorities of, we talk about my background in Mexican American studies. And, I'm always going to be an advocate for ethnic studies and Mexican American studies. So there's been a push from communities for Mexican American studies for decades, right? And we see it here and there, but we're starting to really kind of see that currently. And as a graduate of Mexican American Studies and working with the department, also I closely work with the MAS faculty that have implemented MAS at the high school level. And so what's really cool about this is that it's actually taught as dual credit. And so you're actually getting college level critical thinking analysis through Mexican American studies. And this is actually going to be taught, dual credit is actually going to be taught. They're extending the programs to a couple of more schools. So right now they're at, in the fall, it's going to be at Lanier, Jefferson, Burbank, and Brackenridge. And the what's really amazing about the MAS at UTSA faculty is that they're activist scholars, and so this really was built from the community, and it was, years long of putting this implementation together. And what's actually very unique also is that the reason why they are able to do this is because that program, these courses, connects to the TEKS, and so it is state approved, and so we are able to use curriculum that's culturally relevant, that connects to TEKS, right? And so um, again, though, it's dual credit. That's really important. But then again, we kind of look at the logistics of how can students fit this in schedules, right? Like their daily schedules and things like that.
Yeah.
And I do believe that some of these courses at some of those schools are actually in Spanish also, so dual language as well. So
Mm.
there's a lot of cool things happening, and that is happening currently, but we do need to just expand on some of those.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like, but still with trying to push back with the stars testing, though, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
with the last candidate that we talked to, it was pretty much like a resounding like we can push back against the standardized testing. A lot of teachers are against the standardized testing. So um I I haven't really heard you say that you want to do that, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I,
Yeah, I can. I mean, I would, I'd advocate for pushing for this year, right? We just need to really focus on students' emotional state and um, understand that this is a time to reevaluate standardized testing for the future. But yeah, I think um, this year we just really need to put it on hold. Our just give our students just a little bit of that flexibility.
gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. So as far as with the budget itself, there tends to be a lot of issues with who people are hiring with the contracts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know recently, last year, there was Harlandale, the issue with Harlandale, and with their contract negotiations, and they didn't have a company bid or other companies bid. They just kept it all the same company. Is there things like that are happening like that in SAISD, or the potential of things happening like that in SAISD that are being kind of um, not being seen?
Yeah, I think that there's I think one of those is the big contract of STAR, right? And kind of looking at um, what does that mean when we're putting so much of our of that money going towards our that state funded test. It's not, it's not a local company, but really looking at how we can address getting our small businesses on, with contracts. There's a lot of other small and local businesses doing a lot of great work. Um, and yeah, there's a lot to be said about that, and um, I would have to have a little bit more information in digging deep in those budgets conversations.
Okay.
Mhm.
Fernando says, does Yasmin take the oath to uphold corporations to pay their fair share of property taxes in the district instead of allowing the city and county to give abatements and tax credits? If she takes the responsibility to hold them accountable, how will she create majority support behind her from her fellow trustees on the board?
Yeah, I think it's important to work together with the board, and um, yeah, I think what's really important about one of the big uh, responsibilities of the board is, we set the property taxes, and that's something that actually voters are getting a little bit more informed with this race, and yeah, I think it's talking with having those conversations with the trustees, um, and and going through what it would mean for advocating for our students through those contracts, making sure that these are going to be the right decisions being made, moving the direction of the board towards advocating for our students and our families.
Okay. I know you said you wanted to share something, like share your screen on something. Did you have that up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to give a little, I wanted to show District 7 because I'm a super visual, I'm a super visual learner. And let's see. Okay. Let's see if we can do this. Okay.
And once you
Share
drop it
screen,
in,
right?
yeah, once you drop it in, I'll be able to share it.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, are you able to?
No, you have to actually make sure it'll pop down on the bottom. Oh, okay, there we go. All right.
Okay. So what's really unique about District 7 is we have what's really unique is that it's right on the corner of several districts, right? We have Edgewood, we have North Side, and Northeast bordering it. We have Woodlawn Lake here, and this is the Jefferson High School right here. We have several of our elementary schools, and yeah, and what's really unique, and people are getting a little bit more informed about school board elections, is that school board districts and city council districts don't overline. And I was actually
Super
very
confusing.
yeah, I was actually very surprised that this little Pico up here, this is 410
Yeah.
right here. And so this area, there's a lot of apartments. It's very multicultural. And so, right, that is just I just wanted to show that really quick because it just shows how multifaceted District 7 is. And because of my, background in cultural studies, I really understand what the needs of the community is. I'm out there talking to voters. I'm talking to our constituents, to our families. Yeah, and District 7, I love I love our neighborhood. I love our district. I've been part of it, and yeah, for another confusing kind of thing, right, is that uh, folks really are like, oh, I'm in Council District 1. I'm like, well, actually, let's look up your district locator, right? And I'll like
Right.
put their address, and I'm like, well, actually, you're in District 6, and they're not up for election this year, but I was like, it'd be good to research the candidate that is, or the school board person that is representing you,
Mhm.
and informing folks, especially the younger generation, that they're they're either registered to vote or they're turning that age group. That's a lot of the work that we're kind of doing as well, working with students as grassroots
Right.
organizing. Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, that was even when I ran for Texas House of Representatives, which
Yeah.
it's a bigger one. Like as far as like well, and even some of these city council positions have they're a big district. There's a lot of people in these districts. That's why they're talking
Yeah.
about moving them over to adding some more districts in city council. But you know, a lot of people didn't understand the districts for Texas House of Representatives. They didn't understand the city council,
Hmm.
so it's very confusing for a lot of people, and even just starting to figure out, and even more so the school boards. Those districts don't line up with anything. So
Yeah, they
um,
do. They're on their, yeah,
yeah,
they have
and
their own
it's
line.
hard. I don't blame them.
Hmm.
So definitely, I think that's why we want to have these kind of conversations to be able to expand that knowledge to everybody, to say, look, these are different districts. These are different voting elections. These are,
Right.
so yeah, when I was looking and doing my searching for the school boards candidates, it's, Harlandale doesn't have any. Well, I think they have like maybe a couple of them, but, and then there's other school boards that don't have any elections right now because they just had theirs. So, you know,
Right. Yeah.
it's a toss up. So, yeah, hopefully we can get people to really understand, what is going on in the city and why it's important to vote for the school board, especially, 'cause that deals with the kids themselves, and some candidates, like I said, have said that their hands are tied, and some have said that no, we can fight back and change the way our school system is. But it's who are we willing to vote for, and pay attention to. So I think that's really
Absolutely.
important. So
Absolutely.
I know you're on your lunch break, so don't want to take up too much of your time. So can you maybe give some last points about your campaign and why people should vote for you?
Sure. Yeah. And I think that I reiterate this, it's not about me, right? It's not about me. It's about the community, and it's about the students, and about the teachers. What I can bring to the table is my expertise in cultural studies. I do have a rich background in research and data, and my connection with the university, my connection with social justice networks, bringing those folks as experts to talk about uh, who and how these policies are going to be greatly impacted in our families, for the next generation, right? And whatever, for me, whatever the election outcome is, I will be committing to continuing this work and working with youth and students and education. I continue to collaborate and work with grassroots organizing in the education community and other leaders that are doing this work. And we ultimately all want what's best for our students and our families.
Yeah, definitely. So, how can people volunteer, donate, contact you?
Yeah, there's so we connected on Instagram, so
Mhm.
I'm on social media, uh Instagram, Facebook is going to be probably the most posts that I have, and Twitter, but I do have my email is going to be probably the best. And if I put it here, will it
Yeah, if you can
go
type it
to?
in the comments if you can.
Okay. Yeah, this is going to be the best way. If y'all have any questions, want to contact me, or if you have folks in District 7, if there's other issues that you think I can look a little bit more into, I think that that would be great. I'm open for collecting as much information as I can. I think it's important that we all are best informed of that question of the previous superintendent. I'd really want to have that discussion with that comment.
Mhm.
And it's important for me. It's important for the community. It's important for our parents, because does impact all of us.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you. Go eat your lunch.
Yes,
But yeah, I appreciate you for coming on and taking this time, and it's very appreciative. And everybody, just please make sure you reach out as well. If you like her message, if you want to know more, reach out to her. And be involved in these elections, specifically, especially the school board. Don't skip out on these. Start looking into these really well, because we want to make sure we stop the cycle of what we're doing. If it's not working, then we need to change it up, right?
yes.
So but thank you, Yasmin. I
One last thing.
appreciate it. And also
One last
for
thing. Sorry.
any of the viewers, if you would also like to donate to this live stream as well, please feel free to do so. My Cash App is on the bottom. I am doing this out of my own time, so if you'd like to donate, you feel compelled to, please do. But thank you, everybody, for joining, and thank you, Yasmin, and have an awesome day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.